My name is Dr. Michael Berlin. I am a chiropractor and a wellness coach. I've been practicing next door, right just on the other side of that wall, for over 17 years. Before that, I was 3.5 years in Queens, doing the unique work I do. I'm going to be looking at my notes a little bit, so forgive me. I'm also the regional speaker for Employee Awareness Association, which means I go into businesses and I do a lot of health and wellness talks, things like that. I donate my time, but it also gives me exposure, which is a great thing, and allows us to reach more people. And I'm a keynote speaker at the largest Long Island holistic health fair that happens twice a year, called the Naval Expo. So I like to speak, and this is one of the things I like to do. And so what I'm going to start off with today, okay, is I want you to imagine a concept, okay? We're going to talk about, overall what we're going to talk about is stress. Okay, it's going to be a celebration of life and healing, and how we can resolve stress, really resolve stress. And I don't mean manage stress, okay? Because you hear a lot of people talking about managing stress. I don't believe in managing anything. I don't want another thing to manage in my life, okay? So we actually help people resolve stress, both from their bodies and their lives, okay? So that you can be free of it and learn new skills, so that, you know what? No matter what happens, because life is going to have ups and downs, right? It just is. It's part of life. There's night and day, okay? But the key to living well is how well do we adapt? How well do we go with the flow? Whether it's something that's going on in our personal relationships with somebody, or with our job, or with ourselves. How well do we adapt and respond so that we can be authentic and maintain a sense of peace, authenticity, and love? Does that make sense? So we help people do that. All right, and I'm going to go into how. Actually, we'll do a demonstration as well. So here's the concept that I want to talk about first. So if you can imagine, right, a continuum, and there's health. Yeah. Okay, so someone's in health, right? You have true optimal health, right? And then as you slide over a little bit, there's imbalances. All right? Now, we're born, our birthright is true natural optimal health. The body knows how to stay healthy. But then somehow, okay, over a lifetime, imbalances can occur. An imbalance in the body, right? Then if that imbalance is not addressed, eventually, right, it'll turn into a dysfunction, right? Long-term imbalance eventually can turn into a dysfunction, where something's just not functioning right. Then if that dysfunction isn't addressed, eventually, okay, it'll turn into a disease, right? A disease process will start to show up, right? Then if the disease process is not addressed, right, it'll start turning into chronic disease. Now it takes on a little different form. It becomes set into the body, scar tissue. It becomes a chronic thing. We adapt to it both physically in our bodies and in our lives, and how we relate to people. You see? All these things in our bodies and our lives are setting it in. You with me? Right? So it becomes chronic disease. And then if that's not addressed, ultimately, it becomes demise, okay? Death, destruction, loss of a limb, whatever it is, okay? So you get that? We start out, and this is a continuum, and I'm going to go through this a little bit. It starts out with health, right? Then what happens is we get an imbalance, and if that imbalance isn't addressed, right, it becomes a dysfunction. And if that dysfunction isn't addressed, eventually it becomes a disease. And if the disease isn't addressed, it becomes a chronic disease, which then becomes death. Okay, something dies, or you die. Now, where symptoms generally occur is in the dysfunction and or the disease stage. Symptoms don't happen, right? Here's health, imbalance. Sometimes we feel the imbalance, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we notice it and ignore it. Most of the time, we try to just keep working it out, whether we notice it or not. You with me? And most of the time we try to adapt within the imbalance rather than rebalancing the imbalance. So, and a lot of times we don't even know it. So there's an imbalance going on, and then the dysfunction and disease. And now this is where the first symptom will generally show up, okay? But understand, it's been a long time of the body trying to adapt, but just couldn't until this point. And so this is the point where the symptom shows up, where most people will want to address it, right? They'll go to the doctor, they'll do something. And if you're going to a medical doctor, what you'll do most of the time is they'll give you something to address the symptom, right? Which then takes away the symptom, maybe helps cure the disease, but most of the time it's symptomatic, and then they hope the body will just take care of it, okay? Sometimes it'll help heal the disease. Sometimes it'll help heal or correct the dysfunction. Many times, no. Okay, they just want to get the symptom down or get it to be subclinical, right? So that you're just not feeling it. But rarely does anything medical try to rebalance the imbalance and get you back to true optimal health. You with me? Okay? It's not their job. Okay, it's not their fault, it's not their job. Okay, that's not what, allopathic medicine or traditional medical treatment is for. They're not supposed to build true optimal health. Their job, really, is to prevent death. Okay, that's really what they're trying to do, right? They're not trying to get you back to optimal health. My job, on the other hand, right, if you're in this stage, if you're in this part where you're having a symptom, my job is to help you go the other way, okay? To heal the disease, heal and correct the dysfunction, help you rebalance the imbalance, right? Which it could be either physical, chemical, and or emotional, and I'll talk more about that, but rebalance the imbalance in your body or in your life, and or in your life, usually it's both, and get you back to true optimal health in a way that helps you stay here, in a way where your body and your mind and you learn how to maximize and stay in this place. Because where do you want to live? If you're going to live in your body for 80, 90 years or whatever it is, right? Where on this spectrum would you rather be as you age? I'd rather be as far over on this side as I possibly can be. Okay? Now, sometimes if I abuse myself and whatever, I can only get so far. Right? But still, you want to maximize, right, everything that you have for as long as you can do it. It makes sense. And especially if you can do it in a way that, that doesn't have to take over your whole life, right? That doesn't have to take over your whole pocketbook. Okay? And really, what's beautiful about healing is that when we look at the imbalance, right? If we look at the imbalance part, it usually is just little turns of the screw most of the time that most people need to do to really pay off big dividends. Most of the time, you don't have to change your whole life. If you're already in the disease and the chronic disease thing, you got a little more work to do. Okay? You got a little more work to do. But even so, then you get to here, and then there's little turns of the screw that put you right into true optimal health. Okay? And it'll help you keep you there. And that's what I always want.